Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to talk about TikTok tax tips. Try saying that 3 times fast. So you've probably seen these videos either on TikTok or it's the same thing in Instagram and Facebook Reels, where you hear some sort of dramatic tax tip that could save you thousands upon thousands of dollars in taxes that is some secret or something no one's ever told you about. So I want to do a series of videos where we talk about these TikTok tax tips, whether or not there's any truth to them, whether you need to just basically completely ignore them or dive into them and look at them. So the first thing is there typically is usually some truth in here, and we're going to pull that out and show you what the rest of the story is, because a lot of times they leave out a lot of details. And so we're going to go through that. Now, the second disclaimer is that I always say you shouldn't take any advice from anybody on social media, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, including this video right here. My hope is to help point you in the right direction. But what I mean by don't take tax advice from anyone on these social media platforms is that in my videos, I often say, this is general advice. I'm talking to a generalized group of people. And even when I walk through some of these things and point out what is true and what isn't true, it's generalized advice, even that I'm giving. And you need to reach out to someone who can give you specific advice, since these are facts and circumstances driven most of the time. Let's jump in. This TikTok tax tip is called the Augusta Rule. And this one sounds amazing. All right. This is where your business can rent your home, apartment, whatever it is, can rent your living quarters from you completely tax free. So the premise here is, again, you have a business that will pay rent to you to the tune of anywhere from the videos I've seen, $7,000 to $30,000 a year, completely tax free. The Augusta rule is important because if you didn't have that rule, basically the rent that you paid from your business would be, let's call it $15,000, $15,000 rent deduction expense for your business. And then you would pick up rental income on your personal tax return and pay tax on it. So essentially it's a wash, right? But with the Augusta rule, the rule states that if your primary residence, if it's your primary residence and it is rented out for 14 days or less, that you do not have to report that income as taxable income on your tax return. I'm going to call this one, let's see, we'll call this one 100% true, except that they're not giving you the full picture. So again, it's not that the rule doesn't exist. It's not that this is not accurate information. It's the fact that they're not giving you the full picture. They're making it sound really easy and like anyone can do it, and that you can basically just set the rate. So I watched one the day that said, hey, if your house would rent on Airbnb for $1,000 a day, that would be $14,000 that you can pay to yourself completely tax-free from your business. That's the end of the video. Nothing more to it than that. All right. Now let's jump into the full picture. Yes, there's an Augusta rule. Yes, if you rent your house, whether to yourself or to someone else, and the rental days, total rental days for the whole year, for 14 days or less, you do not have to pick that up. So if you were to put your home on Airbnb, let's say during home football games, because you live near a very popular football school and you rent your house out for the 6 home football games at $2,000 a night for those 6 home football games, that's $12,000 a year. You rented your house out less than 14 days. You do not even have to report that anywhere on your tax return. That is tax-free income to you because of this rule. Now, renting it from yourself through your business is a little trickier, because you want to make sure, absolutely certain, that you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's on this one. So what does that look like? Well, first, you need to have an actual legitimate business purpose for renting the house. No, you cannot just put in, I've seen these, you can't just put in this executive rental agreement that says we're going to rent the house for 14 days, pay yourself some number that you came up with that you think is reasonable rent, or you looked on Airbnb and said, this is what my home would rent for 14 days. Let's just pay it. You cannot do that. You have to have a legitimate business purpose. What does that mean? That means that you're actually conducting business during the days that you're renting the house from yourself. Would you, if you didn't rent your house, actually have rented a space somewhere in town for this? Now let's tackle that Airbnb rate of $1,000 a night. Okay. If you're looking at taking a team, four or five, you and your employees, who cares how many it is, on a company trip where this would qualify as business travel, you're going for 14 days. Let's call it 14 days, or maybe it's, 2 5-day trips and a 4-day trip that you would have spaced out throughout the year, where you would go, you'd rent hotel rooms, you would rent office space, and you would do planning meetings or some sort of legitimate business meeting during these trips. And you're going to have lodging and meeting space. Then I think the Airbnb is probably pretty fair because you would be looking at lodging. Now, if you're keeping it in town, and you would not be paying overnight accommodations, but you're just you're just booking meeting space. So you're using your home as meeting space during business hours. Then you need to reach out to a hotel that has a conference room or somewhere and look for a space that would accommodate the number of people you have. You don't need a 30-person boardroom to meet with yourself and 2 employees. But you need to call around and figure out what the day rate is for that. If it's $500 a day for the meeting space that you would have otherwise booked, that's your fair market rate. That's what you can pay yourself. So let's go through this. You need a legitimate business purpose. You need to figure out what the market rate is for the use that you're doing in your home, the use that you're actually using your home for. Figure out what that market rate is, and that would be what you would pay yourself. Now, you need to make sure you get that documented so you can pull up, here's what we looked at for fair market value. You need to have an agenda for the meeting so that you can document how long it was, the business that you discussed, who was there. You need to make sure you're keeping minutes on this, actually having these meetings in your home. And then you also need to have the rental agreement that spells this out. You need to treat this as if you and your business are not one and the same. When you are the owner of your business, it's very easy to just fly by the seat of your pants, pay yourself, and move on. But you need to treat it as if you're booking space at a business that has nothing to do with you. They're going to require the rental agreement, and they're going to require fair market rate. They're not going to charge you more than that because you wouldn't go there. So you cannot charge yourself more in order to just shift income into this tax-free space. You need to charge yourself market rate. And the risk here is that you're paying yourself well above market rate. The business purpose, again, is key as well. You can't just, you and your wife have planning meetings for 14 days while you live your normal life in your house. That's not going to fly. Again, the IRS knows people are doing this. They know they're not documenting well. They know that they're abusing it. And you want to have everything ready to go in case of an audit. So again, I'm going to say this one is true, but you need to absolutely make sure you do this one the right way. My name is Brad. I'm with Wooten CPA. My goal is to bring peace to your tax and financial responsibilities. One of the ways I do that is through these videos on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this video because I know people are seeing this one over and over again and they might want the full picture. Thanks for watching.